all, welcome to another quick learning. Today we're going back to CodeSignal. We're working on database SQL coding exercises. If you're joining this in the middle of a playlist, I'll put a link in the description below so you can start from the beginning if you wish. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to the arcade, going to databases. And then we're at this last section, table of desserts, number 80, drivers info. Your company is an authorized Chevrolet dealer, and you have your own database of the clients who've come to you for vehicle inspections. Right now, it's not very convenient to analyze because it contains only the information retrieved during each inspection. You'd like to make this database easier to use. Information about the inspections is given in the table inspections, which has the following columns. So it's got an inspection ID, the driver name, the date of the inspection, and the miles between inspections. So your goal is to make a new table with a single summary column that contains the following information. So it's easier just to see what they're talking about here. And actually, I'm just going to go here to the example below. So they want this first row to be total miles driven by all drivers, and that's just the sum of all of the rows in the miles logged. So you can see if you added those up, you'd get 742. And then they want subtotals for each driver. So you put name, the driver's name, their number of inspections. So Dave here has 3 rows, so he's had 3 inspections. And if you summed up the 3 rows that have Dave on them, it would be 456. And then under that, you're going to have details of each inspection that Dave had. So you see these correspond to individual rows here. So 45, the 180 here, and 231. And then you do 1 for each driver. All right, so how would we do this? So first I'm going to look at this subquery to show you what is happening there. So I'm just going to comment out a block here. Whoops. So if you want to comment out a block of code, you can do this /*, and then to end it, you can do */. And actually, sorry, I'm going to change where this is. I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to look at, I'm going to comment these out as well. All right, so I'm just looking at this part here. So I'm going to run that and show you what it's doing. Oh, I didn't have the semicolon at the end, so it got angry. All right, so it didn't pass because it's not the full query. So you can see what's happening here in this output. So we've selected the driver name and date, the sum of miles logged, and the count as the number of inspections. And you can see we did this with rollup. You might not have seen this ever before, but what this does is it adds lines that do subtotal and the grand totals for all. So you can see you've got the group by function here. This is basically the same as all the rows here because the driver name and date is pretty much unique because the same driver isn't probably going to have 2 inspections on the same day. So you can see these are all 1 row in length. But this is the key, is these subtotal lines. So where it has the date null, this is the total for the driver Dave. And you can see this 456 is the sum of all these rows here for Dave, and 3 inspections is the number of inspections for Dave. And then you have Gary's row. And then this one where the driver's name is null and the date is null. That's the total miles for all drivers and the total number of inspections for all drivers. All right, so let's uncomment this out so I can show you the rest of it. All right, let's get rid of these here. All right, so what are we doing in this big select block here? That's basically putting in all of the text. So first of all, we're doing a concat. So it's going to concatenate whatever text that we're putting in here with the miles. So the miles is always the last part of the text. You can see in all the different rows. And we're just calling that summary as an alias because that's what they want us to call it. So the logic here is we have an if statement. So if the date is not null, so if we look down here in the rows, in the rows that are where the date is not null, those are the individual inspection details. So that's these rows here. So in those we'd want to do date, colon, and then whatever the date is in that row, miles covered, and then the miles in that row. So you can see we do that concat function. We put in the white space that we need here. So there's some white space here. Date, colon, and then the date from the row. And then semicolon miles covered, colon, and then this will give us the miles at the end. All right. So that's this first condition here is these detailed inspection rows. And then if the driver's name is not null, okay. So if the driver's name is not null, that's going to be this grand total row right here, which has the sum for all drivers. So if that's the case, we're going to be putting in, if the name is not null, that's these subtotals, these subtotal lines. So that means the name is in there. And for those, that's this here, these subtotal lines. And so we're putting in name, and then the driver's name in that row, number of inspections, etc. So, and then this just, you put this miles at the end again. So that's the subtotal row, and then the total miles driven by all drivers combined. That is this total row here and here. Okay. And then you can see we order by driver name and date. So that's going to pull this column up to the top, this row up to the top, and it's going to pull these subtotals up above the rest of the Dave inspection details so that they're ordered correctly. So we have the grand totals at top and the subtotals at top. And you can see that works. So hopefully you guys are able to follow along with that. So the key is using the roll-up so that you can get those grand total and subtotals in there, and then make sure you order them and use this logic to figure out which row you're working with and put in the text that's needed. All right, thank you very much.